The entire dorm transmigrated and turned the imperial harem upside down. The whole dormitory simultaneously transmigrated into the imperial harem. The eldest sister was given an intelligence system, the second sister received a beauty system, and the third sister possessed the White Moonlight Aura. They were all incredibly excited, determined to claim the highest position in the deep palace struggle. Only I managed to eavesdrop on the emperor's true thoughts. Truly, 4 exquisite ingredients to create a sow. He let out a cold chuckle that sent shivers down my spine. I am Su Yueshan, a second-year student at Jiangcheng University, the youngest and the fourth in our dorm. One night, a fierce storm raged, rain pouring down like a waterfall. The dormitory pillars snapped in half, and our rooms collapsed into ruins. None of us escaped the catastrophe. When we opened our eyes again, all 4 of us had transmigrated into the imperial harem of the Great Xia dynasty, during the 3rd year of Emperor Ming's reign, right in the midst of the imperial concubine selection. We had traveled through time, but our appearances remained unchanged. Among the multitude of candidates, we quickly recognized each other. Having overcome death in another world, meeting again brought immense joy to each of our hearts. Hiding behind a large tree, Rongjai, our eldest sister, excitedly whispered, "My dears, let me tell you a secret." She cautiously glanced at the other maidens in the distance. "SHHH, I've received an intelligence system. As long as I complete conquest missions, I'll accumulate intelligence points and gradually uncover the hidden secrets of the harem. My ultimate goal is to become the Empress Dowager." Rongjai had always been our class president, intelligent, observant, and skilled in communication. Whenever a supervisor came to inspect our dorm, she would prepare small gifts, sometimes a Sonio lipstick, sometimes a swan necklace. Even the strictest supervisor would praise her, saying she was shrewd and destined for great things. Our room never lost points, and we regularly won the top award each month. Rongjai declared confidently, "I didn't come here for nothing. Heaven has chosen me as the female lead. I will definitely be the ultimate winner in this battle." She clenched her fist, promising, "I will protect all of you." Our second sister, Chengyu, let out a cold snort, her willow-like brows furrowing slightly. "It's not just you. I'm the female lead too. I have a beauty system. The fiercer the palace struggle, the more radiant my beauty becomes, until I become the most beautiful woman in the harem and the reigning Empress Dowager." Her foxy eyes sparkled like water. "Rongjai, just wait and see who has the last laugh." When it came to beauty, I had never lost to anyone. Chengyu was famous for being the prettiest in our class, with endlessly charming foxy eyes. She received flowers from countless male students every day. Thanks to her, our dorm was always filled with fresh flowers in vases. Today it was red and blue roses, tomorrow the vibrant beauty of hydrangeas, always so fresh and lovely. In our first year, Chengyu had even run for class president, losing to Rongjai by just 1 vote. The 2 of them argued constantly. I never imagined they'd still be rivals in another world. I softly interjected, "There's no need to quibble over who's superior. You 2 can just be the Empress Dowager of the East Palace and the West Palace." Chengyu smirked, a glint in her eyes. "We all have systems, but what about Yueshan?" Just then, a eunuch's piercing voice echoed from afar. "Lady Shu Nangxi, daughter of the Minister of Rights, requests an audience." "Where is Shu Nangxi?" That was our third sister's name. She rushed forward, preparing to enter the hall for selection. Chengyu's and Rongjai's gazes turned to me, filled with scrutiny. I could only offer a weak smile and spread my hands wide. "It's truly a pity. I don't have a system, nor any supernatural powers. Just like in my previous life, I'm still an ordinary person. I'll just have to rely on you 2 ladies." After speaking, I bowed respectfully. The 2 ladies then smiled brightly, vying to link arms with me. "Yueshan, we'll protect you. You must always stay close to us, all right." Both were brimming with confidence, enthusiasm, and ambition. Only I felt a deep anxiety in my heart. This was the imperial harem, a place that buried the youth and lives of countless women. This was not some palace struggle game that could be reloaded or replayed. There was only one life, and my sole desire was to survive. When we entered the audience hall, the emperor sat on his high throne. Out of the corner of my eye, I glimpsed his brilliant yellow dragon robes, and for the first time, I clearly felt my own ability. I could hear the emperor's thoughts. He thought, "Beauty can make a feast, for more and I shall be cured." A shiver ran down my spine. This medicine is really bitter. The imperial consort's pine nut candy is still tastier. It turned out he was referring to 4 pills. I let out a sigh of relief. This body seemed to retain memories in every fiber, performing all the ceremonial movements as fluidly as flowing water. As expected, I was kept in the palace. All four of us became minor consorts in this harem. Chengyu, our second sister, possessed extraordinary beauty. Her first meeting with the emperor left a deep impression on him, and she soon found favor. She was elevated to the rank of distinguished Lady Li, and her residence, Yonghua Palace, was the closest to the emperor's own quarters. The remaining three of us, being ordinary in both appearance and family background, were assigned to remote, secluded palaces. Those places were deserted, covered in cobwebs. Nanxi and I didn't mind this. Having food, water, books to read, and a place to relax, what could be better? Only Rongjai, our eldest sister, always wore a dissatisfied expression. Every day, she was busy from dawn till dusk completing missions assigned by her intelligence system. She once confided in me that her first mission was to pass the selection, and her second was to gain imperial favor. She was now trying everything to charm the emperor. She researched his preferences. He liked lively, nimble girls, enjoyed pine nut candy, favored bamboo leaf wine, and loved discussing poetry. I couldn't help but ask, does the emperor suffer from any incurable illness? Rongjai suddenly burst into laughter. Yueshin, do you know? I'm increasingly feeling like the main character. Imperial physician Qin Huyu, who attends the emperor, is actually my childhood sweetheart. He says the emperor is incredibly healthy, even has an 8-pack. She added, see, aren't I holding the script of a palace drama in my hands? Ha ha. My heart suddenly turned cold. The emperor is healthy. Then why does he need to take 4 pills? What illness is he hiding that even the imperial physician doesn't know about? Rongjai's smile grew brighter, but my heart grew colder still. Winter solstice was approaching, and the three of us hadn't been summoned for a long time, gradually forgotten in the harem. Even the imperial household department began to cut back on charcoal and warm clothing. Rongjai, our eldest sister, often had to go outside and caught a severe cold, developing a high fever that night. Without a proper identification tablet, she wasn't allowed to leave her palace. The wind howled, and snow fell thick and fast. Chengyu quickly brought an imperial physician. By now, she was Consort Li, wearing a pristine white fox fur coat, vibrant red lipstick, and sparkling pearl hairpins. She had grown even more beautiful. Finally, I've won a round against her this time, Rongjai. Lying in bed, Rongjai, pale-faced, softly said, "Thank you." She bowed her head. The next day, the imperial household department delivered thick, warm clothes, the best quality silver charcoal, and several times the usual amount of silver. All thanks to Consort Li's status. That evening, Chengyu personally went to the imperial household department and declared, Lady Zhuang, Lady Su, and Lady Shu are my closest friends. I hope the eunuchs will give them extra care. She believed that the 4 of them were the closest to each other in this strange world. During the New Year's Day banquet in the palace, the 4 of us secretly snuck away, gathering to share a hot pot. Steam rose thickly from the pot. We exchanged good wishes, prosperity, promotions, fulfilling quotas, and striving together to become Empress Dowagers. Chengyu and Rongjai continued to bicker, their playful banter filling the air with warmth. In my heart, I secretly wished that our friendship would blossom forever, that we would remain close for years to come. But just the very next day, this bond of friendship cracked. The next day, the group went to pay their respects to the Empress. As we passed through the plum blossom forest, vibrant red plum blossoms bloomed abundantly. This was a flower forest the Emperor had personally planted for the late, White Moonlight consort, forbidding anyone else from picking them. Suddenly, Rongjai clutched her stomach, her face drained of all color. You all go ahead, don't be late. I'll help her back. Chengyu hastily wanted to call an imperial physician, remembering the palace dramas she'd watched and fearing someone was trying to harm Rongjai. Nanxi also looked very worried, but Rongjai repeatedly waved her hand. It's probably just my period. Don't worry, I'll be right there after I change. A palace maid helped her away. The remaining 3 of us went to Kaining Palace, preparing to pay our respects to the Empress, the noble consort, virtuous consort, and other esteemed concubines. The noble consort, originally from the water regions, possessed a soft and graceful demeanor, and her eyes bore a resemblance to Chengyu's. She deliberately created trouble. Consort Li, why is Lady Zhuang late for her greetings? Chengyu didn't reply, simply performing a calm bow to the Empress. Empress Su, the path is slippery due to snow, and Lady Zhuang's shoes are wet. Fearing disrespect, she returned to change and will be here shortly. The empress, who valued propriety, nodded in satisfaction. The noble consort grew angry. Lady Zhuang knows propriety, but consort Li only has beauty and no virtue, which vexes me. Guards, make her kneel outside the hall until my anger subsides. The empress and noble consort were fundamentally not on good terms. However, the noble consort's maternal grandfather was a high-ranking cabinet minister whose protégés were spread throughout the court, whereas the empress's family influence was weak and incomparable. Even as the head of the harem, the empress only calmly said, "In that case, consort Li, you may kneel there. You may rise only when Lady Zhuang arrives. I suppose the noble consort's intention is also to prevent a newcomer from catching a chill while maintaining your reputation for kindness." The two exchanged veiled remarks, subtly attacking each other, but Rongjai still did not appear. Outside, dark clouds gathered thickly. As the wind blew, snow fell like torn cotton. Cheng Yu still knelt with a straight back, not bowing her head. My heart burned with anxiety. I immediately sent a palace maid to find Rongjai. If only she arrived a little sooner, Cheng Yu would suffer less. In the imperial harem, every word, every action could lead to death. This was not our familiar modern world, nor our familiar classroom, where if one person skipped class, others would help cover for them, at most losing a few points. Here, being late and being reprimanded by others could cost you your life. I reminded myself, I must absolutely not view this harem as a conquest game, nor should I delude myself into thinking I'm a transmigrated female lead. No need to stand out, no need to be favored, just survive. As long as all four of us are alive. But why hadn't Rongjai arrived yet? Half an hour was enough to go back and forth twice. Had something happened to her? Nangxi gently gripped my hand. Just as my heart sank, mirroring Cheng Yu's stiffly kneeling back, a eunuch's voice suddenly declared loudly, "His Imperial Majesty has arrived. Lady Zhuang requests an audience." The two of them arrived together. A palace maid lifted the red velvet curtain. The emperor, holding a girl's hand, slowly stepped in. It was indeed Rongjai. She wore a pale yellow silk gown, her arched eyebrows and clever eyes radiating liveliness and cuteness. Her face glowed like a spring flower. The emperor's gaze was full of affection. Lady Zhuang is intelligent, knowledgeable in poetry and prose, and understands the noble beauty of plum blossoms. Truly, she is my soulmate. To be merely a lady does not befit her. Now she was conferred the rank of distinguished Lady Hui. Rongjai smiled radiantly, leaning against the emperor as she said, "This concubine thanks his imperial majesty for his grace. I will certainly not disappoint you." She even subtly winked at me, making a yay gesture with her hand, but I couldn't bring myself to smile. The emperor's thoughts resurfaced in my mind. Another fish caught on the hook. There are still two more. Where are they hiding? A sinister smile flickered at the corners of the emperor's lips as he swept his gaze across the concubines in the hall, his eyes as cold as a venomous snake, then landed on me. My spine tingled. It was the look of a hunter sizing up his prey. There was no hint of romantic affection, only savagery. Before, he mentioned 4 people, now 2. Did this mean he had found 2 of them? Could those 2 be the transmigrated students, Cheng Yu and Rongjai? Did he intend to use them to refine pills to cure his mysterious illness? What exactly was the emperor suffering from? Or was I overthinking things? While I was still confused, the head eunuch rushed in to report. There are rebels at the border. Their leader has been captured, but 2 ringleaders are still at large. The emperor withdrew his gaze, sighing. The 2 fish who slipped through the net are not a major problem, but I worry they will cause trouble for the common people while on the run. I am truly uneasy. The doubts in my heart hadn't vanished. His gaze had been utterly cruel, full of primal instinct, while Rongjai's eyes sparkled like stars, filled with admiration and love for an emperor who cherished his people like his own children. My heart grew heavy. This was bad. She had truly fallen for him. The emperor ordered distinguished Lady Hui, Rongjai, to attend him, and the 2 left together. That evening, Rongjai was kept at Kayanking Palace, becoming the 2nd consort, after the noble consort, to receive the emperor's favor and stay in his sleeping quarters. Her favor reached its peak. In just one short day, from an unknown nobody, she became the emperor's most favored consort in the harem. How did Rongjai manage this? Was her system truly that powerful? I simply couldn't comprehend it. That night, Cheng Yu suddenly fell gravely ill. Her entire body trembled nonstop, and she had such a high fever that she became delirious and unconscious. The noble consort confiscated her identification tablet, forbidding an imperial physician from treating her, saying, "A vixen like you, specializing in bewitching the sovereign, it's virtuous for you to die. Living only causes this consort more trouble." Cheng Yu's alluring foxy eyes were younger and more beautiful than the noble consort's, constantly reminding the noble consort that her own youth had passed. The noble consort was both envious and resentful. Incense smoke wafted gently, but her lotus-like pure face became twisted and ugly. Nanxi and I tried everything to bring down Cheng Yu's fever, massaging her with warm wine and holding her tight to transfer warmth. But her forehead remained burning hot, her breathing growing weaker and weaker. My heart was ablaze. I couldn't think of anything else and immediately sent a palace maid to Kyanking Palace to find Rongjai. After all, Cheng Yu's suffering stemmed from Rongjai, and Rongjai had just gained favor. Moreover, she had imperial physician Qin Huyu, her childhood sweetheart, by her side to protect her. Surely no one would dare trouble her tonight. By midnight, Qin Huyu arrived with his medicine chest. He took Cheng Yu's pulse, prescribed medicine, working tirelessly. As dawn broke, a rare golden ray of sunlight pierced through the thick clouds, and Cheng Yu's fever finally subsided. She opened her eyes just as Rongjai returned from the emperor's sleeping quarters. One was pale and utterly exhausted, while the other was full of joy. Their eyes met. Cheng Yu, profoundly gaunt, her clear yet sharp eyes carrying an undeniable dawn-like glint, shattered the room's silence. "Where were you yesterday morning?" Nanxi and I also put down the medicine bowl and looked at Rongjai together. The warm intimacy in their eyes from yesterday had turned as cold as ice and snow today. Rongjai's ears turned red. She looked at their scrutinizing faces with a hint of indignation. "Don't look at me like that. I know what you want to ask. You think I deliberately came late to seduce the emperor, causing Cheng Yu to suffer the punishment instead, while I happily indulged myself all night, don't you?" Cheng Yu let out a cold laugh. "Isn't that precisely it? I knelt in the wind and snow, enduring punishment. Yueshin and Nanxi worriedly tried every means to help you. Everyone risked their own safety for your sake. And you, all you thought about was pleasing the emperor, only wishing for his favor. You utterly disregarded our lives and deaths. Isn't that right, distinguished Lady Hui?" Rongjai's face alternated between green and red as she replied. "Yes, I truly wanted to complete my system's mission to become a favored consort. If I failed, I would be punished by the system. Yesterday morning, the system informed me that the emperor would pass through the plum forest, so I used the excuse of changing clothes, hoping for a chance encounter. But I never intended to use any of you, much less harm you, Cheng Yu." Cheng Yu shook her head, her eyes clearly showing doubt. Rongjai seemed agitated, her eyes red-rimmed, and she sneered, "You weren't punished because of me, but because of your face, which, thanks to your system, increasingly resembles the noble consort's. Even if I hadn't been late, the noble consort would have found a reason to punish you. Don't blame it on me. After all, you're just jealous that I'm favored and afraid I'll steal your position." Cheng Yu trembled with anger, closing her eyes and letting tears stream down her face. "In this world, who is closer than the four of us? All for the sake of one man, you are truly foolish." When she opened her eyes, the sandalwood door swung open. "I genuinely love the emperor. You are very important to me." Rongjai's figure dissolved against the red wall and white snow, leaving only her trembling voice echoing endlessly. My heart was in turmoil. She thought herself intelligent, but in reality she was too naive. Cheng Yu was always skilled at protecting herself, yet this time she spoke up for Rongjai, willingly handing the handle of the knife to the noble consort, actively offering herself to the tiger. Cheng Yu was naturally competitive but valued friendship even more. Rongjai thought herself clever but failed to see through things. She had moved out. The eunuchs whispered. The emperor let her stay in Kyanking Palace. Consort Hui is truly favored. Another plum consort has appeared. Who knows when she will disappear? I wanted to ask more, but everyone remained silent. Who is plum consort? Why did she disappear? From that day on, the noble consort frequently caused trouble. She made Cheng Yu transcribe scriptures all night, forced me to kneel before a Buddha statue to pray for blessings, and made Nanxi empty the chamber pots at night. The palace attendants, accustomed to fawning over superiors and trampling on inferiors, deliberately knocked over a chamber pot. "Lady Shu, quickly clean it up," Nanxi cried miserably, forced down by them to wipe it clean. The weak empress dared not intervene. Rongjai, with a cold face, sternly declared, "Noble consort is indeed very powerful. The emperor said that you no longer possess your former gentleness, making him feel distant and even fearful." These words were as sharp as daggers, immediately transforming the noble consort into a woman filled with resentment, fearing the loss of favor. She angrily raised her hand to slap Rongjai. Impudent! The emperor appeared just in time, grabbing the noble consort's hand tightly and pushing her forcefully aside. He embraced Rongjai, comforting her tenderly. The noble consort has acted improperly. Order her confined for a month. My wronger is inherently kind. What reward should I bestow upon her? The emperor's phoenix eyes glowed with watery gentleness, but when he looked at the noble consort, they were cold and emotionless. Such blatant favoritism could easily sway the heart of an inexperienced maiden. Today, he gifted her brocade. Tomorrow, he would learn from Zhang Chang to paint her eyebrows. The day after, he released countless flower lanterns onto the pond. When spring came, they walked hand in hand out of the palace, like a loving couple in the mortal world. Everyone said the emperor was deeply infatuated. Rongjai sank deeper and deeper, each gesture gradually acquiring the dignified, noble air of a woman of the imperial court. Gone was the passionate and strong class president Rongjai of yesteryear. Under the tutelage of feudal etiquette, she seemed to be slowly withering. She embraced the powder box the emperor had given her and began to lecture us. Whether you are high or low in the imperial harem, your position is paramount. You must be careful in your words and actions. Don't provoke the noble consort every day. Even I, this consort, cannot always protect you. By now, she was consort Hui. I shivered. Chengyu and I always felt there was something unnatural about this favoritism. It was too fast. We should go advise Rongjai. Chengyu, having just returned from transcribing scriptures, still had the night's frost on her eyebrows, and her voice had grown cold. Rongjai has a system. Why should I worry about her? I have my own mission. Sooner or later, I will also be made a consort. She didn't believe that I could truly hear the emperor's thoughts. If that were true, why haven't you become a favored consort yet? Her tone was identical to Rongjai's, full of arrogance. I could only offer a bitter smile and shake my head. Rongjai and Chengyu both harbored grand ambitions, while Nangxi and I only wished for a corner of peace. Sweet nectar for one could be poison for another. I clearly understood that the biggest contradiction lay with the emperor. To make the four of us harmonious again, I had to frequently appear before him, listen more to his hidden thoughts, and uncover the secret he was concealing. Just imagining those eyes that seemed to want to devour others alive sent shivers down my spine. I was determined not to embark on the path of a favored consort. I could only rely on the unfavored concubines, becoming an invisible presence, bowing and kneeling when the emperor arrived, secretly observing his intentions. That was the safest and surest choice. Among the favored concubines, consort Hui, Rongjai, stood out the most. I had to cling to her. The next day, I went to Kaienking Palace to seek an audience. The eunuch indifferently announced, "Consort Hui has ordered that she will not receive Lady Su." My heart suddenly tightened. From the crack in the door behind the eunuch, the faint sounds of joyful laughter and intimacy between a man and woman drifted out. The eunuch chuckled, then a loud noise echoed, and the spring wind pushed the door slightly ajar. A trembling female voice was vaguely heard. Yueshin, hurry and leave." That sound gnawed at my already uneasy heart. My right eyelid twitched incessantly. I always felt something ominous was about to happen. Just as I was about to look closer, the eunuch's large shadow immediately enveloped me, blocking the light and radiating a chilling aura. I could only quietly leave. The emperor announced, "Consort Hui is pregnant. Due to an unstable pregnancy, she is not well enough to move around and will not attend the empress's greetings during this time." I went to Kaienking Palace many times, but the eunuchs wouldn't let me get close, only pointing from afar. "Look, her ladyship is by the window." Beneath the green-tiled roof and red walls, Rongjai's face glowed like a pear blossom. She offered a gentle, appropriate smile, then fell silent. I left, reassured. On the way back, I unexpectedly encountered the emperor's sedan chair. His gloomy eyes swept over me. "Which palace's consort are you?" I hastily knelt, my voice trembling. "Consort Su, lady of the Su family." His thoughts transmitted. Timid and weak, another useless one of no benefit to me. It was all disgust and contempt. The spring breeze carried the scent of flowers, drying the sweat on my forehead, but my heart beat faster, colder. The emperor was ill, he was indeed abnormal. His concubines were his medicine. I rushed back, wanting to inform Chengyu and Nangxi. In the deserted hall, the palace maid said Nangxi had gone to Chengyu's palace. When I rushed there, before my eyes was the emperor intimately embracing Chengyu. The eunuch quickly closed the palace doors, sealing off all the intimate sights within. Lady Su, do not disturb his imperial majesty's pleasure. I could only cry out, Cheng Yu. The head eunuch smiled meaningfully. It seems Consort Li is favored now. I fear that tomorrow morning, the master of Kyanking Palace will change again. His imperial majesty's spirit has been much brighter lately. If Kyanking Palace had to change its master, what about Rongjai? For what reason wasn't she receiving imperial favor? Where would she be sent? Her youth was not yet gone, but her favor had ended. Truly an unfortunate fate. One of Cheng Yu's palace maids softly reminded me, Hurry, Our Lady said you must also strive for yourself. If you want favor, you must fight for it. I was a little stunned. Rongjai had said these words too, but now Cheng Yu had also changed. When we were students, they were all intelligent, proud individuals. How could they now willingly abandon 20 years of education, immersing themselves in this place to the point of no longer recognizing themselves? My heart heavy, I returned to my palace. At dusk, Nangxi let down her tangled hair and sat before her dressing mirror. She turned around, her face covered in bruises and dried blood, looking as if she had been clawed by a concubine's fingernails. Nangxi, who did this? Anger flared in my heart. Nangxi gave a tragic smile, tears mixed with blood welling in her eyes. The noble consort hates Cheng Yu. Seeing me leave her palace, she made me transcribe scriptures. I knelt on a prayer cushion all morning, telling a palace maid to find Cheng Yu. But she told me that since I liked watching palace dramas, I should figure it out myself. Women must empower themselves. The noble consort, hearing that Cheng Yu was favored during the day, furiously beat me. She also sent someone to message Cheng Yu, but Cheng Yu said her system had assigned her a mission to gain favor today, and she absolutely couldn't be distracted. Cheng Yu didn't come, so the noble consort ordered all the palace maids in the palace to take turns slapping me. My lady, in this imperial court, if you are gentle, you will be suppressed. You can only rely on yourself. Rongjai and Cheng Yu had both changed. Driven by their ambition and relying on their systems, they developed boundless desires, wanting to compete at all costs. They viewed gaining favor as a reward for their efforts and thus disdained those who fell out of favor. In their eyes, favor meant advancement, success, being superior to others. And us? We were just humble, powerless, inferior beings, resigned to being trampled upon. Nangxi clicked her tongue, licking away the blood still on her lips, her eyes filled with resentment. No one knew I also have a system. Her system was called the White Moonlight Aura. In my heart, only a bone-chilling cold remained. The system was originally like a cheat, a hack, but once activated in this deep palace, it was far from easy or smooth. Instead, it pushed one into isolation, into a bottomless abyss, binding modern people in feudal shackles, unable to turn back, no longer seeing traces of the past. I don't want that. Even Nangxi was like this. Despite enduring ultimate humiliation, she had not yet activated her White Moonlight Aura system. I don't crave glory or riches. I only wish to retain all the values and moral qualities I cultivated in the modern era. I will not abandon my integrity for a man, nor become deluded for a bit of favor, nor betray my friends for a moment of competitive impulse. That is the true meaning of my existence. Late at night, Imperial physician Qin Huyu rushed over to bandage Nangxi's wounds and apply medicine. With his gentle, jade-like demeanor, he hesitated for a long time before daring to ask, "Is Consort Hui safe?" He was Rongjai's childhood sweetheart from their previous life, having followed her into the palace and secretly helped her without ever changing his heart. Suddenly, I remembered the Emperor's strange words, the unusual mutterings in Kyanking Palace, and the abnormal infatuation of both Cheng Yu and Rongjai. Everything seemed to be connected to the Emperor's mysterious illness. He needed 4 medicinal pills. He had already found 2. Were those 2 Cheng Yu and Rongjai? Imperial physician Qin, does His Majesty have some hidden ailment? Qin Huyu paused, then slowly shook his head. I then reminded him, Consort Hui is currently in a dangerous situation. Do you know about Consort May's sudden disappearance from Kyanking Palace? She vanished after becoming pregnant. Now Consort Li is favored, and Consort Hui is pregnant, soon to be moved from there. Who can guarantee she won't follow in Consort May's footsteps? Qin Huyu's face turned pale, his hand gripping the medicine box tightly. After a long silence, as the candle dwindled, its weak light almost extinguished, he whispered, I don't know what illness the Emperor has. I only know that he particularly favors lively, intelligent girls. They are all different from others. Some write poetry with unprecedented rhymes. Some are skilled cooks, making soft, delicious, unique pastries. Some are bold, daring to openly confess their love to the emperor in broad daylight. They are like celestial maidens descended to earth. The emperor dotes on them immensely. The emperor once murmured in his sleep that they are his cure. Every time a consort disappears from Kayanking Palace, the emperor's pulse improves significantly. Qin Huyu clutched his head in anguish. Consort Mei. She was turned into a human pig, her limbs amputated, eyes and nose gouged out, crippled to be kept alive and tortured. The emperor said she was passionate, unrestrained, like a strong wine, and the most perfect pill. Rongjai was truly in danger. Nangxi and I were utterly astonished. Those girls, they all sound like transmigrators. The emperor suffered from a strange illness, needing transmigrated people to be refined into medicinal pills, the method being to turn them into human pigs and extract their blood for medicine. He always sought such individuals in the harem. Rongjai was intelligent, with unusual insights. Chengyu had striking beauty and unique makeup. All of them were different from the women of this era. Therefore, they quickly fell into the trap of favor set by the emperor. Most importantly, they all uniformly fell in love with the emperor. It was only after love took root that everything became so grotesque. Qin Huyu seemed to understand as well. The two ladies are indeed intelligent. My master once said that a girl's love is the purest thing. Her flesh and blood can be refined into medicine to remedy a man's deficient destiny. Consort Mei was originally an arrogant and wild girl. In the past, His Majesty became deeply infatuated with her, riding horses with her throughout Chang'an, building the Terrace of Love for her, and even following her advice to establish a school exclusively for girls. With overwhelming favor, he conquered her heart. From hardly noticing him to a subtle stir, then plunging into a sea of love all within just 1 month. And only then was she qualified to be refined into the medicinal pill His Majesty desired. Sweat beaded on Qin Huyu's forehead again. He murmured, "Rongjai doesn't have much time left, I must find a way to save her." Nangxi and I had never doubted that Rongjai or Chengyu would betray their dorm mates. We were the closest individuals in this strange world of the imperial court. We had sworn to share joys and sorrows together, and now that catastrophe had struck, we could not simply stand by. Nangxi, without hesitation, activated her White Moonlight Aura system. A system, after all, is merely a tool. What matters is how one uses it. To use it to fight for favor and harm others is evil. To use it to fight for favor and save people, that is the righteous path. Nangxi was inherently calm, but once she spoke, others felt reassured. She wanted to immediately end Chengyu's imperial favor, preventing her from falling deeper into the web of love and becoming the second pill. Qin Huyu was willing to investigate the emperor's health and track down Consort Mei's whereabouts. As for me, I would meticulously prepare everything, seizing every opportunity to probe the emperor's thoughts and search for traces of Rongjai. This sinister, man-eating imperial harem, to survive, one could only save oneself. As night fell, Shu Nangxi, draped in a soft sky-blue silk dress, gracefully danced in the fragrant garden. The moonlight, like a thin silk ribbon, enveloped her figure, creating a hazy scene like a celestial maiden descended to earth. The emperor released Chengyu, whom he had been holding, his eyes never leaving Nangxi's figure. This woman? I seem to have seen her somewhere before. The power of the White Moonlight Aura system was truly astonishing. The emperor seemed to have completely forgotten Chengyu, sinking into Nangxi's embrace. Chengyu knelt before the gates of Kayanking Palace, begging for an audience. Her thick stockings were drenched from the torrential rain. She had been tormented and beaten by the noble consort, bullied and humiliated by the palace maids. The emperor, embracing Nangxi, walked past the corridor, not even sparing her a glance. She suffered to the extreme, going on a hunger strike until she fainted. When she regained consciousness, her eyes were completely vacant. I seized the opportunity to comfort her. "Wake up. The emperor's favor is not love. Gaining favor does not mean a woman empowers herself." Chengyu washed her face with cold water, her beauty becoming icy and exquisite. She glanced at me. "Like dogs fighting over a bone, Yueshin, you speak wisely. For the past few days, I don't know why I've been so bewildered, my mind only thinking of that thieving emperor." Her snow-white face was filled with doubt, but her eyes sparkled brightly. "He has a problem. I will absolutely not submit to a man, especially one who is common property. He must be playing tricks. I will find out the truth with everyone." Nangxi's efforts were not in vain. After being discarded, Chengyu awoke from her suffering, escaping the emperor's strange influence. she agreed to help me find traces of Rongjai. Qin Huyu worked tirelessly back and forth many times and finally found the emperor's medical records in his master's residence. Originally, the emperor had a flawed destiny, unsuitable for kingship. Once he held power, treacherous officials would arise, the realm would be in chaos, and epidemics would rage. The records stated that by taking the love of women from other worlds and refining their blood into medicine, he could use their destiny from other worlds to compensate for his own deficiencies. 6 transmigrated women had loved that thieving emperor and were turned into human pigs, refined into 6 pills. The emperor had consumed all 6 of them. He only needed 4 more pills, and the mandate of heaven would be his throne firmly secured. But he was never a sagacious ruler. He was extravagant, lecherous, cruel, and seized his officials' wives and concubines, earning the long-standing resentment of the realm. Now, to use such dark arts to devour people made him even more unworthy of being king. According to the records, Rongjai had only about 3 days left before she would be turned into a human pig. There was no time to delay. Nangxi organized a night banquet and invited the emperor. On the table was the bamboo leaf wine he loved. The emperor drank cup after cup, reciting poetry and painting with Nangxi. I disguised myself as a maidservant, dutifully standing behind the curtain, ready to pour wine at any moment. The emperor, drunk and his eyes full of infatuation, said, "My beloved consort, you are brilliantly intelligent, the one I love most." Nangxi pouted. "I heard consort Hui is the most intelligent. How can I compare?" I heard the emperor's thoughts. "Her, stupid as a pig. Just a little bit of favor makes her love me to death. Becoming my medicine is her honor. Let her join Consort May." Consort May was still alive. Where were they? That night, even though Nangxi subtly mentioned Rongjai, the emperor showed no true emotion. It seemed his mind was lost in distant memories. Cheng Yu came up with a risky plan. For Rongjai, she decided to once again put herself in danger. Rongjai had fallen in love with the emperor and become a material for refining pills. Cheng Yu, just as she was about to lose her sanity, was stopped in time by Nangxi. Thanks to her extreme pain, she awakened and regained her senses. However, in the emperor's eyes, she was still a perfect medicinal human. Because he was too captivated by the White Moonlight Aura, he neglected the harvest. To prove her sincerity in the following days, Cheng Yu stayed outside Kaienking Palace day and night, constantly murmuring, "Your Imperial Majesty, my adoration for you is witnessed by heaven and earth. I would die for you." She cried and tried to bash her head against a pillar to commit suicide, but was fortunately saved in time by imperial physician Qin Huyu. After taking her pulse, Qin Huyu carefully advised the emperor, "Your Majesty is too busy with court affairs. I fear it will harm your imperial health. Please prioritize your well-being." The emperor's face fluctuated between dark and light, seeming fearful that his destiny was weakening. Indeed, that night, he hastily summoned the one who, consumed by infatuation, could not let go and was ready to sacrifice her life. Zhu Chengyu, intending to immediately turn her into medicinal material. Qin Huyu and I disguised ourselves as eunuchs, secretly mingling with the night patrol. At the 3rd watch of the night, a desolate crow's cry echoed. The young eunuchs carried Chengyu, who was tied tightly like a rice dumpling. "You 2 fools, come help. Take her to the cold palace, same spot." Qin Huyu pulled down his hat brim and asked in a shrill voice, "Where is the emperor?" The young eunuch gave an obnoxious smirk. "Lady Shu said she had chest pain and has summoned his majesty." Nangxi was also carrying out her plan. Everything was going smoothly. The cold palace was plunged into darkness, its walls crumbling, overgrown with weeds. Wind whistled through the gaps in the torn paper windows, creating mournful sounds like ghost cries. Qin Huyu and I used the identification tablet the young eunuch had given us. All along the way, we passed countless yawning imperial guards and eunuchs. We went straight into the deepest part of the cold palace. Cheng Yu had long since woken from her trance. The 3 of us together pushed open the palace door. Inside, candlelight flickered weakly. 10 large earthen jars were arranged in a row. The strong smell of blood wafted out. In the 6th jar, a beautiful woman's head was exposed, her face pale white with numerous black sunken marks, looking like a burnt and tattered paper lantern. It was unclear if she was alive or dead. Rongjai, clad in thin clothing, was tightly bound to a pillar. As soon as she heard footsteps approaching, she screamed in terror, "Please don't kill me, please don't kill me. Rongjai, don't be afraid, we'll free you immediately." Fortunately, she was unharmed, still our class president. She hugged all three of us, sobbing. I'm sorry, it's all my fault, I was foolish and deceived. Before leaving, Rongjai pulled out a dagger. With a decisive slash, she slit the throat of the beautiful woman in the jar. Rest in peace, Sister May. For her, an honorable death was better than a terrible life. The night was long and drawn out. The wind rustled through the tree branches, as if carrying the faint sighs of relief from a woman's spirit. May her soul soon return home. The night guards continuously yawned. Earlier, Qin Huyu had secretly put a sleeping incense into the Dragon Boat Festival sachets distributed to all the soldiers. Everyone had one. A mere sniff would make their heads dizzy. We crouched low, meticulously, one careful step at a time, sneaking out of the dense grass. Returning to the sleeping quarters, Qin Huyu stood guard outside. Rongjai was somewhat more alert, clutching Cheng Yu's hand. Still reeling from shock, her intelligence system had revealed an earth-shattering secret in the harem, but I had awakened too late. Before I could inform you, the damn emperor had imprisoned me. Cheng Yu sniffled, hugging her, refusing to let go. It's not too late, we'll have plenty of opportunities to argue later. Rongjai laughed and wiped away tears. It's good that I have you all by my side. What Yueshin said was true. I almost forgot my way home. Her expression became serious. The system told me that the emperor is also a transmigrator. He possessed the emperor's body when he was young, but lost a soul and a spirit during his transmigration, making his destiny unstable. To sustain his life, he must use the divine souls of people from the same dimension to compensate himself. His system exists for only one purpose: to lure and capture transmigrated women. The luring has two goals: first, to pull us from our original world to this one; second, to make us unconsciously fall in love with him. After capture, he will turn us into human pigs, imprisoning our divine souls, refining our blood into medicine, and then absorbing it. If he is eliminated, his system will cease to operate, and the power that drew us here will also disappear. At that point, we will return to our own home. A sad smile crossed Rongjai's face. Cheng Yu and I were utterly astonished, our eyes wide. Go home? This was a dream we had never dared to imagine since setting foot in this world. Now it was clearly before our eyes. We must return together. Under the moonlight, we disguised ourselves as Nangxi's palace maids, as if bringing her tonics to Kyanking Palace. Tonight, Nangxi feigned chest pain, a perfectly reasonable excuse at this moment. We secretly slipped some money to the eunuch, then bowed our heads and entered the hall. Greetings to his imperial majesty, greetings to your ladyship. Please take your medicine, your ladyship. In Nangxi's eyes, surprise flickered, her gaze quickly swept over each of us. Soon after, she smiled faintly and sat down herself. She subtly winked. I hate taking medicine so much. Luckily, you brought pine nut candy. That's precisely the kind of candy the emperor loves most. Before, whenever Cheng Yu declared her love, she would bring it. The pine nut candy was a special kind prepared by Qin Huyu, infused with a sleeping scent. Its initial purpose was to entice the emperor to eat it, forcing him to reveal Rongjai's whereabouts. Now that Rongjai had been found, the candy once again served its purpose. We have tacit coordination, no need for many words. Cheng Yu bowed her head, taking out a sachet and handing it to Nangxi. Nangxi maintained her calm composure, looking directly into each of our eyes, her gaze filled with absolute serenity and nonchalance. The emperor had his back to us, drawing a spring scene. He was about to turn around. Nangxi hastily embraced him, pouting, "This concubine humbly offers candy to your majesty." Her jade-like hand brought the candy to his lips. The emperor wrapped his arms around her, uttering affectionate words. Exhausted, the emperor leaned back on the bed, his eyes sweeping around before he lazily ordered, "All you maidservants withdraw. I wish to rest with my beloved consort." Nangxi untied the sash from her hair, playfully winding it around his arm, loop after loop, each time tighter. The atmosphere seemed sweet. The emperor smiled helplessly, naughty again. But unexpectedly, Nangxi's hand suddenly tightened, her eyes turning icy. She shouted, "Damn emperor, abandon your filthy ambition. Quickly send us back to the modern era," Rongjai screamed. The emperor squeezed his eyes shut, struggling like a fish out of water, but the sleeping incense had begun to take effect. Hearing Rongjai's voice, a thought flashed through his mind before he sank into unconsciousness. "Unless I am killed, no one can leave this place." I heard it. Rongjai's system was right. To return, we truly had to kill him. Rongjai took out a bowl of poisoned wine. It was what Qin Huyu had prepared. Cheng Yu and I struggled to pry open the damn emperor's mouth, forcing him to drink the poisonous wine. Outside the hall, the eunuchs heard the commotion and asked loudly, "Is your majesty feeling unwell?" Nanxi tightened the sash in her hand, replying wearily, "His majesty is unwell." "It's midnight, stop making so much noise." The eunuchs immediately fell silent, like startled crickets in the grass. Just then the noble consort's voice, both resentful and gentle, rang out from outside the hall. "Your majesty, this concubine has come to visit you." The eunuchs tried to stop her. The noble consort, not hearing the emperor's shouts, boldly pushed the door open and stepped in. "Your majesty, I miss you so much." These women always thought that merely acting coquettishly would earn them pity, reducing themselves to cats and dogs. We were in utter panic. The damn emperor was still not dead. There were absolutely no signs of transmigration occurring. If we couldn't go back, there was only one path ahead, being turned into human pigs. That was the only outcome. The palace door creaked, about to be fully opened. A night breeze swept in, rustling the curtain. The extreme fear almost made me faint. I glanced at Rongjai. Her eyes looked at the scene before her with reluctance, like a final farewell. Yet I trusted Rongjai, she wouldn't deceive us. The noble consort's snow-white face suddenly appeared through the cracked door, and the smile on her lips was nothing short of the most hideous curse. Only 3 stone slabs separated us. My entire body trembled violently, my limbs weak. My heart pounded so hard I felt it might burst, turning into rapid drum beats. Thud, thud, thud. The emperor's throat was choked, blood continuously flowed out. I completely lost my senses. Everything before my eyes was blurry and indistinct, as if in a thick rain. I couldn't see or grasp anything. A panicked voice echoed from afar, gradually seeping into my mind. Yueshin, wake up! Doctor, quickly come and see." I opened my eyes on a 21st century hospital bed. Around me were the fresh, joyful faces of my parents and doctors. "We're back." Cheng Yu's and Nanxi's weak voices chimed in. The 3 of us lay in one hospital room. My heart returned to its rightful place. Happiness, after so much loss, surged like a tide, wetting the corners of my eyes. I heard myself whisper, "It's so good to be home." My parents' loving gazes, my friends' joyful sobs, the soft but firm replies of my roommates. The afternoon sun shone through the window, illuminating a branch of pink roses on the windowsill. The faint pink blended with white, quietly showcasing its beauty. Like our lives from now on, free and vibrant. The red walls, green tiles, and shackles that surrounded us would no longer imprison anyone. I smiled contentedly, but there was still an unfillable void in my heart. "That's right, what about Rongjai? Why didn't she answer?" Her eyes, both reluctant and resolute, suddenly appeared in my mind. Perhaps I had misunderstood her. What she truly regretted was not that fleeting moment of glory and wealth. Extra Story 1. On the day the emperor passed away, the sky was rarely clear, bathed in brilliant sunshine without a single cloud. Courtiers and concubines alike wore white mourning clothes, kneeling before the hall, weeping tragically, tears streaming down their faces. Some truly grieved, while others secretly rejoiced. Only I was different. I deliberately adorned myself lavishly, pinning a pink begonia to my temple, donning dragon robes, and calmly walking into the funeral hall. No one dared to blame me for my disrespect, for I carried the last remaining imperial bloodline of the late emperor in my womb. At this moment, I was both Empress Dowager and the new emperor. The emperor's death was my rebirth. People in this world should fully enjoy earthly pleasures. Qin Yu, holding a bowl of prenatal tonic, slowly ascended the steps towards me. His shadow stretched long and thin. My time was also running out. I am Zhuang Rongjai. Since connecting with the intelligence system, I had held countless deep palace secrets. The emperor was actually a transmigrator, missing a part of his soul and spirit. His system lured transmigrating women from across various worlds, causing them to become infatuated and fall in love with him. Ultimately, these women would become a source of energy to nourish and replenish his soul and spirit. I recounted everything to my sisters who came to rescue me and told them that as long as we killed that damned emperor, the system would collapse and we could return to the modern world. Everyone was overjoyed. The truth was indeed so. But the system also informed me that continuously traveling through multiple worlds in a short period would come at a very high price: each person's soul. Souls and spirits could be used as a form of energy. The 4 of us needed to sacrifice one complete soul. Without hesitation, I made a deal with that demonic system. Sacrifice me, send the 3 of them home. Ding, the system functioned in the dark, cold palace. This pact was sealed. I smiled sadly, tears quietly flowing. Everyone thought I grieved over Consort May's death. That's fine. You, my little fools, have worried yourselves sick trying to save me, so let me, the smartest one, save you. Chin Hu was a very special person. He and this body were childhood sweethearts, understanding every word and gesture. Even after I transmigrated, my personality completely different from the original owner, he never once suspected. Day after day, he cared for me tenderly, always staying close, even willing to sacrifice his life to save me. Leaving the cold palace, my legs felt weak. He carried me, hiding in the dense grass. The silent night felt overwhelming. I couldn't help but ask, "Do you know who I am?" He paused for a moment, then continued walking, his voice mournful. Bright moon night, short pine ridge. It was a poem lamenting a deceased wife. Goosebumps covered my entire body. He always knew I wasn't the woman he loved, just a cuckoo occupying a warbler's nest. So why did he go to such lengths? Perhaps seeing me tremble, he offered a bitter smile. "Don't be afraid of me." She was originally a very lively girl who loved to laugh, but she was forced into the palace and had to hang herself to end her life. Her family even intended to use her corpse for a ghost marriage. You came here to help her rest respectfully, without enduring humiliation. Therefore, both she and I are deeply grateful to you. I had to sacrifice 10 years of my lifespan to obtain information about Chin Hu from the system. Everything he said was true, except that his soul had a problem. Did he know that? The system told me that Chin Hu was originally an extremely pure and kind person. When he was born, he was missing a soul and a spirit. His father used a secret technique to summon a wandering soul and spirit from the mortal realm to compensate for that deficiency. But that soul and spirit originated from the damned emperor. On the day of his transmigration, the emperor's divine soul became unstable. A soul and a spirit detached from his body and were sealed by Chin's father, used to complete his son's soul and spirit. The emperor had searched tirelessly for many years, but never suspected that his lost soul and spirit had always been right before his eyes. In that moment, I didn't know whether to pity or resent Chin Hu. The damned emperor's cruelty originated from him, but he had also genuinely saved me. Tonight, everything must end. The wheel of fate finally closed. The poison took effect. The damned emperor vomited blood, splashing everywhere. When the noble consort prepared to push the door open, I saw the figures of my 3 sisters gradually becoming hazy, like a wisp of white smoke slowly dissipating into nothingness. Immediately after, their 3 bodies fell to the ground, losing consciousness. They had returned home. I bit my lip tightly, trying to suppress the sobs in my throat. Pain and joy mingled, forming a great wave, surging in my mind, wave after wave. I was like an empty screen, sorrow created holes piercing through my entire being. Vague and uncertain, they had finally returned safely. From now on, there would be no chance to meet again. Goodbye, my sisters Chengyu, Yueshan, Nangxi. Live well. Learn one more lesson for me, see the ordinary lives of people for me. Admire the majestic beauty of this country for me. Farewell, those I deeply love. When I opened my eyes again, the transaction with the system had taken effect. It had stripped away most of my soul, leaving only one soul and one spirit. I lost all emotions, including fear. Therefore, when the noble consort swung her hairpin to stab me, I was quicker. I used a hot iron poker from the charcoal brazier and stabbed it directly into her chest. On the pale yellow silk, fresh red blood blossoms bloomed, blood gushing from the noble consort's throat. In my eyes, that scene was strangely beautiful, like dazzling fireworks. Chin Hu looked at me with a complex gaze, then quickly arranged everything neatly. The bowl of poisoned wine was placed in the dead noble consort's hand, and the emperor was placed in her arms. The noble consort plotted to usurp the throne and murdered the emperor. Her ladyship bravely used the iron poker to stop the noble consort. The noble consort, fearing her crime, committed suicide. The 3 other ladies also simultaneously committed suicide by drinking poison. The next day, the empress contentedly believed these words. The noble consort was dead, and I, carrying the imperial bloodline, became an easy puppet for the empress to manipulate. Thus, she actively supported me, elevating me to the position of secondary Empress Dowager. With the help of the system, the originally weak empress gradually listened to me, and I became the true power holder in the harem. Sitting on the throne, behind the pearl curtain, courtiers reported state affairs to my belly. I used the knowledge I gained from the modern era to gradually reform feudal society, such as establishing schools for girls. The courtiers opposed it. I compromised, opening schools for noble daughters, whether from top down or bottom up, there must be a new beginning. Times gradually improved, but I grew weaker and weaker. I could no longer feel the cool breeze blowing through the corridors, no longer see the warmth of the sun, nor feel the pain of pregnancy and childbirth. In the mirror, I only saw the corners of my eyes and eyebrows covered in the frost of years, an eternal coldness, having lost 6 souls and 5 spirits. Even when looking at the child I bore and gave birth to, I felt no emotion. I was merely a walking shell. One day, when I opened my eyes, my body stopped moving, no longer controlled by my will. I sank into boundless nothingness, knowing no fear, no doubt, no sorrow, nor joy. At that moment, the intelligence system finally issued a command: proceed to the second world, search for the lost fragments of your soul and spirit. I used my last bit of strength to respond, I will. At the moment of transmigration again, I heard the warm cry of a baby, heard the cheerful laughter of my 3 sisters, heard Chinhyuyu's bamboo flute under the willow tree. Your ladyship, farewell. After a long time had passed, when we met again, I recognized them immediately, but they didn't remember who I was.